All right, Bitcoin Thursday and the first day of May. So let's start off with a banger on the monthly. We're looking at the stochastic RSI. Monthly just updated, and look what we have here. A major bounce. As of yesterday, this was just a line down here. Huge bounce. What does that mean? Well, let's look at the last time it happened. Let's go back to, let's say, summer of 2021, where we had a bounce here. Does that ring any bells? Okay, if it doesn't, let's just go take a look. And we're going to look at the Gaussian channel today too. So here's our bounce this time, right there, April. And the last time is right here. Look, we're going to remove all these moving averages to make it a little bit more clear if you can't see. So this is the exact time we had this. And what happened next? Right, we had a new rally to all-time highs and then some, which lasted for about 5 or 6 months, right? Until November, December of 2021. And that was the end of the cycle. So let's go back and look at that stochastic again. Right? Lasted 5 or 6 months. We got a cross in December at the November, December update. Cross back down. Highly probable that this will be the same vibe whenever that happens. I'm not saying it's going to be 5 months. It could be 10. It could be 2. More likely closer to 10. I think it's going to be longer than this one. Why do I say that? Well, look at the angle of attack here. Look at the bounce here versus the barely bounce there, right? The first month was, we haven't closed this, obviously. We could end up coming down and looking something similar to this. But as of now, looking pretty good. So I would guess at least 5 months or so from here. Once we cross again and do something similar to this, highly likely, no matter what prices are, no matter how optimistic or pessimistic you are, or anyone else is, the end is probably near if and when we start to close this gap and eventually do cross again. We're hoping somewhere out in at least Q4. And so far, again, by the angle of attack, I like that odds. But that is a huge sign, right? We did not want to close down here and like go flat or sideways or, God forbid, continue down. Major bounce, right? We're back at 96K. We've just broken new local highs today. So good sign on the monthly. So far, so great. And, look how quickly this picked up. We could easily do that again. I mean, and as we zoom in here, right, we looked at our zones all week here. If you don't know about these zones, go check yesterday's video or the previous days and explain these, right? But, we're looking at, bearish down here. Obviously, really bearish, probably bear market if we go down here again. And new all-time highs very quickly if and when we close even a daily candle. I would prefer 2 daily candles above this zone, around 98K, which would take us out our local high over here. But this is the monthly zoomed out macro perspective where we closed right just above, right? I was hoping yesterday we could take out that low close, and we did it just barely. But we did it, right? Better than closing barely below it, right? We closed above it. Great sign. We've started off the month of May about as good as a start you can get, right? Nice start. We're already up 2% on the month, over $2,000, and it's not going to take a whole lot. So watch the weekly close. The weekly close, right? We have enough of the monthly, right? The macro perspective. Let's go look at the weekly. Let's turn our EMAs back on here. We need our moving averages, and look what's starting to occur here. The EMA 8 is now back on top of all moving averages for the first time since early March when we had our big deep plunge here. That's a good sign of bigger moves on the horizon, especially with the context of getting above our previous high here. 96K is our high on the weekly. If we could just close here in 3 days, right? We're on the weekly chart. Just take out this high, and the odds get much more bullish for higher highs quickly. If you could take out that high, this is the point of failure if you're going to fail. If the bears are going to have us and, nuke us back down, it's got to be here. If we start to close a weekly higher high than this, they're losing a lot of momentum and they're getting slaughtered. We're starting to, the bulls are starting to have their way. Do not take that lightly. If we close above this candle, which is 96,258, at least on this exchange, let's go 96.3 to be safe. If we close above 96.3, like where we are now or higher, monumental win by the bulls. Do not take that lightly. I'm telling you right now, like all the bears are start to get shut down if we close here or higher. Make no mistake. This chart, watch out. And we saw this coming, right? When did we see that coming? On the 3-day chart. We confirmed a double bottom right here when we closed this candle. It was really that candle, but it was just by a hair. So absolute confirmation there. Confirmed double bottom. Our target for that, right? If you want to know how do you get targets, right? Just draw from the high to the low, right? Then you can take that and put it where you broke out. Give you a rough target, which is coincidentally knocking on the door of this high on the 3-day chart, right? This is why it's 98K for like my really confirmation to absolutely obliterate all bears. We're looking, it's right because this target doesn't quite get us above there. So we're knocking on the door now. But if we do, right, I don't care if it's, in 2 days when this candle closes or 2 weeks. If we see a close above this zone, right, I'm not changing this zone, it's game over for the bears in my book. So it's looking pretty good right now. If we move down and consolidate here, that shouldn't be shocking, right? That's kind of what we should do per this T8 because how big of this level was. Look how many 3-day candles we closed inside this zone. If we do that again, I mean, we'd be looking at, mid to late May before we can get out of here. So that would be bullish if we can hang out here. I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down anywhere in, I would paint like the top of this zone would be, changing candle over candle based on where that EMA 8 is. But anywhere between the high top of this zone, which was like 87.5-ish, or, following that EMA 8 is going to be great. No problem. That would keep us healthy. No big deal. Where you would start to get cautious is, again, the yellow zone. If you start to close in here, okay, it's time to pause and let's take some more looks around and see what's really going on here. But until we close back in this yellow zone, you've got to be leaning bullish here. Do not get caught off guard if you're in part of the bears. You've been listening to all bearish stuff. You're going to get destroyed if you just have bearish blinders on, right? You always want to look at both sides. Where are you wrong? The bears are deadly wrong above 98.5. Mark my words there. If we come back down here, right, the bulls need to start worrying as well. And if we close down here again, like the bulls are dead wrong and the bears have got us, like we're drowning. Bulls are, it'd be better if like the bears were actually sharks or something else, but dry land and wetland, we could make some more analysis in there, but I digress. Okay, so we're closing anything inside this zone. We start to break down the bearish castle doors. Go with that, and anything north of this, it's game over, right? You don't have to overcomplicate this, right? It's pretty simple if you're just looking at it from this perspective. Not sure what's going on with the cursor over here. But the top of the Gaussian channel is also just south of 100K, and just if we could get above that, I mean 100K again, you see 100K on any time frame. I think it's time to start getting real excited. Altcoins starting to come out a little bit today, but Bitcoin dominance refusing to give up. So until that gives up and does put in a definitive top, altcoins will kind of take turns day over day going green, red, as you've probably noticed. Why altcoins can't gain traction? It's that guy, right? Money's still in Bitcoin. And as it should be, right? With dominance that high, right? You don't want to, make the moves too quickly. But, Bitcoin's the safest haven. But, is Bitcoin going to 2x from here? Maybe, but probably definitely no more than that, I would say. Are altcoins going to 2x more than that? Of course, right? Altcoins are the way to go from this point if you want to outperform Bitcoin, right? So as of now, it might be in your best interest to start dollar cost averaging if your money is sidelined or if you're in Bitcoin to start coming back in, because things could get out of hand very quickly And especially with alts, like you could see if you get a 10-20% alts, if you're waiting on Swiftcoin or Render or Fetch, and you're like, I'll get in if, well, what happens if you see a 20% candle? Then you're kicking your ass, right? So if we reject here, yeah, altcoins are going to get their ass handed to them, right? If Bitcoin goes down 5%, altcoins are going down 10% plus. But you have to weigh those pros and cons. Like, is it worth it? If you see what if Swiftcoin pulls a 40%er tomorrow? Like that, those things can happen. XCN, those guys are powerhouses at any given moment. And if Bitcoin dominance does in fact take a major blow, like you're going to see a lot of the coins that we track just absolutely start to explode. So these are the times coming, right? If you believe that higher highs are coming, now maybe you wait for the confirmation of if Bitcoin closes above 98, right? That'd be the safest play in my book, right? Not telling you what to do, but just for me, if I'm like, oh, what do I do? I'm sidelined or I'm all Bitcoin, or wait till Bitcoin closes up here, and then altcoins are going to blast off it, very soon. So take that for what it's worth. That would be my best suggested advice if you were asking and I was telling. Wait for this, because if we reject here, right, you could get another big discount off of alts again if we come down here, but it's still bullish, right? Still great. But that would likely be like your last time, as long as we hold the line, right? Not saying we have to, not saying we can't come down in here, but what bulls would want to do is hold somewhere north of 88 roughly, and then we would see likely a monumental move to new highs. So a lot of watching to do over the next couple days, couple weeks. Wait for that weekly close. If we go into the daily, we still have our Gaussian channel red, but price action's above it. So if we come back down, note the 21-day EMA is right there at 90K. And also kind of right in line with these lows. Wouldn't be surprised if we do that. But also not going to be surprised if we're at 100K tomorrow. Like, if you think that's not possible, like, I look at the price action here, right? A big move up and consolidating without dropping is very bullish, and you're kind of seeing the result of that now at local highs. All moving averages sorted out, least to great now. All we're waiting on is the Gaussian channel to turn green, which could actually happen by like this week's close, right? Here's the weekly close. All it needs to do is flatten out, which it's damn close, and then make a 1 degree upright turn and it turns green. Could easily happen next week, maybe Cinco de Mayo. Maybe we'll have a beer on the live stream. If we turn the daily Gaussian red and we're at 100K, it could happen, folks. Mexican Fiesta. Okay. What else do we got? Anything? Let me know what questions you have. Any bears you're seeing that are calling something? Let me know. If you see bulls painting something out that I haven't shown, let me know. We can cover it, right? Happy to look at that stuff. Bollinger Bands. Wide open. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's see if look at this. Bollinger Bands on the 4-hour. Got really narrow for a couple days here. And now look at it. Mouth is opening above the Gaussian channel, above all moving averages, into the green zone. What's not to like here? If you're a bear, you have a lot not to like. Bulls absolutely got all the weight behind them right now. All right.